2026. Yes, thank you. Class of 2026 was announced on May 20th with three new inductees for the NASCAR Hall next January. The top of the list, Kurt Busch, the 2004 champion and 34-time NASCAR Cup Series winner, who raced full-time for nearly 21 seasons in the NASCAR Cup Series, is a first ballot Hall of Famer, as well as Harry Gant, a 18-time NASCAR Cup Series winner who raced full-time from 1979 to 1994. Also nicknamed Handsome Harry and Mr. September for his run of four straight wins in 1991. And Ray Hendrick on the Pioneer ballot, who's also going to be in the NASCAR Hall of Fame. He had been on the ballot, I believe, 2 or 3 years. He had run well in the sportsman division, in yesteryear type of NASCAR competition, I believe over 700 victories. So those three, along with the landmark award with Humpy Wheeler for his contributions as the general manager and president of Charlotte Motor Speedway over the years, are your four names that topped the ballots in 2026.
Very impressive. And Kurt Busch is the headliner. I think that was no surprise to see Kurt Busch get in the Hall of Fame. And Matt, a pretty strong class. And for Kurt, one thing I like too about this, with him kind of being the big name of this group, for much of his career, even in his championship year, I would say for that matter, he was kind of an afterthought. Even though he was the older brother, he wasn't as good as his younger brother. And, he was never the best race car driver. He would compete for wins, but I don't think there was ever a point in the NASCAR Cup Series where he was the guy to beat week in and week out. He was always a good driver. And the way he retired, was so unceremoniously, it was terrible, because the concussions and such. This feels like to me, Matt, that Kurt Busch is finally getting his moment of sorts.
Yeah, I totally agree. Kurt's one of those guys. I grew up a Jimmy Johnson fan, so admittedly, I had some point of time there where I wasn't a big fan of Kurt, and towards the end of his career, though, I feel like he came a long way, and there's no doubt in my mind that he's Hall of Fame worthy. So I'm really, really excited that he ended up getting nominated into that.
Yeah, Dom, your thoughts on the Hall of Fame class?
I don't predict a lot of things right, but I think we even talked about on the show. I got all three of these right for once. I was really happy with that. I think Kurt Busch, of course, first ballot Hall of Famer, no brainer that he's going to make it in. But Harry Gant, I think he's in his mid 80s now. Really nice to see him get into the Hall. And of course, Ray Hendrick, who's been on the ballot for some time too. So certainly a celebration of yesteryear and present day. And personally, Tyler, right, we've talked about on the show too. It's been well documented with Jeff Bodine. I think this gives, in my opinion, a little bit more of a say, or at least a little bit of a thing in the corner for drivers like Jeff Bodine, Ryan Newman, of that 18 win caliber type of career that did win marquee events, maybe not a championship, but did compete at a high level for a long time, as their case for the NASCAR Hall of Fame. Harry Gant, very well deserved.
Here's what I would say on the flip side of things, though, Dom. To your point, you think about the guys that didn't make it, the Jeff Burtons, the Greg Biffles of the world, with Harry Gant getting in, and you got more guys down the line that are coming, Jimmy Johnson, Martin Truex, and some of these others. I think it makes it harder for a Jeff Bodine to get in because he's down the pecking order of the guys that were already nominated that didn't get in, that are now left behind. That's what I would say to that point as well.
You do have a good point there too, because when you look at stats do weigh a heavily big portion of this, but you also look at contributions outside of the race car too. Jeff's the first driver to have the full face helmet. He's the first driver to bring power steering into the sport. This is a lesser known fact, but he was one of the first, if not the first driver, to bring a motorhome to the racetrack so he could spend time with his family in between events and appearances and on-track activity. And we see
that's beside the point.
That's absolutely the point, because
no, let me finish.
It's not just a testing. We're talking contributions outside.
No, you're not listening to where I'm going here. Sorry, Matt. My point is that if Jeff and these others that have those resumes you're talking about right now are not even nominated right now, then in theory, they're behind those guys in the pecking order. And so that's what I'm saying, is that it makes it difficult because in theory, based on what we know, those guys would get in before the Jeff Bodines and the others that aren't even on the ballot right now.
Quite possibly. I think you can make that argument there too, because it took Harry Gant 7 or 8 tries to make the NASCAR Hall of Fame. So no, I see where you're coming from, but I think again, there's another layer to that too, where you have the politicking that goes on with it too, and I think there's campaigning that goes behind it as well. So there's so many layers to it, but like I said, I think on the surface at least, it gives hope for somebody like a Jeff Bodine or Ryan Newman. Neil Bonnet was a finalist, and he also has 18 career wins. Maybe make the line down for Casey Kane, but you're going to have Kevin Harvick eligible next year. You're going to have Martin Truex eligible in 2 years. You know those guys are going to be first ballot Hall of Famers based on what we've seen the last few years and how the Hall votes. So it's going to be very tight over the next few years, at least on the modern hour.
Yeah, and that's my point, is that yes, Jeff should be in, and we're on the same page there, but I think it's going to be tough, I think, because of that, because of the pecking order getting pushed down and him not being nominated yet, but we'll see how it plays out.